Hello and welcome to the 8-Bit Guy
YouTube poop video.
So I've been wanting to do a documentary about the Apple I for a really long time, and probably about $1 million in the hole for this already. In other words, these are not cheap. Well, a lot of your modern Apple I clones, like this guy for example, have BASIC built into ROM, which is really convenient. But the original 1976 model didn't have BASIC in ROM, so you had to load it from cassette. The problem is I didn't really have any equipment that could produce that. I needed to ask a favor of somebody, so I decided to ask one of my favorite YouTube creators, Techmoan.
So I've been asked to help out the 8-Bit Guy. Us old YouTube guys can get quite expensive. For example, if he was to buy the same cassette deck that I'm going to record his tape on, it would cost him somewhere around about $9 US, which is a lot of money just to spend on one recording. Much better to ask me to do it, and I'll just send him the tape in the post.
So about a week later, I went out to check my mail, and there it was. So here's how you use it. We'll tell Wasmon to start the ROM code at C100. The asterisk indicates we've entered the cassette interface software. So now I'm going to tell it to load a program in the memory range of E1000 to EFFF, and the R at the end stands for read. If I wanted to write, I'd put a W there instead. At this point, it's waiting on some data from the cassette. Issue, and this is an issue I didn't even want to have to talk about, but I've kind of reached a point where I feel I have to. I've had, over the last few months, about a dozen cases where the tape that Techmoan created for me actually is junk. My $1 million original 1976 model Apple I is essentially ruined.